Welcome to Leaders Unfiltered. Here we have conversations with people making big moves in life. But my heart is that we get to know them for who they really are, behind the fancy title and pretty face. My hope is that these conversations not only inspire, but that they help you to make better decisions in life and ultimately get clarity on your calling. Today's guest is known for his prowess on the rugby field. He's an ex-Paul Russo who actually hasn't turned out too badly. His rugby CV includes captaining his school, the Marties, and having more than 60 caps for the Stormers. On the 20th of July, 2024, he became Springbok number 936. According to Rassie Erasmus, he might just be the next Pieter-Steph du Toit. Besides his impressive CV, he is a leader of note. A humbler and more honest man you won't meet. His authenticity and zest for life is so infectious. Ladies and gentlemen, Ben Jason Dixon. Benas?
Yes, yeah.
Welcome.
What an intro. Why, thank you. I feel honored. Thank you so much. Yeah.
It's a privilege having you. It's such a privilege having you, yeah. Benas, who are you?
Yo, Rudolf. I think it was a good summary that you gave there with the intro. But I think a big part of who I am, I would say, is rooted in that that I want to be, humble, honest, and authentic, and obviously, like, I strive for excellence as well. And all of that comes from a place where I really found confidence in like God's view of me. So I have a longer version of the story that I tell, but basically at the start of high school, I was just on this kind of identity quest. Everybody wants to be somebody, and God just kind of led me to a place where I felt like I really wanted to just jump into his love. Basically, I didn't want to live far away anymore. I didn't want to, have to deal with all the fear and guilt and shame that just comes with the experience of being human alone. I wanted to be I knew there was an invitation of God's love. I wanted to know it for myself, and God allowed me to really he drew me in, and he accepted me with open arms, and he showed me that I am somebody in his eyes, and kind of a lot of who I am comes out of that place of dependence. So that's basically who I would say I am, is somebody that's loved, informed, and accepted by God, and somebody who's been given grace, and somebody who enjoys life for that reason. And I have a lot of struggles, and I'm honest about my struggles, but yeah, I enjoy life a lot, and I've been given good gifts. So I that's who I am, I guess. I love to pursue excellence and enjoy myself, and live with those attitudes.
Come on. I love that what you do is not who you are. And so often when you ask someone, who are you?
Yeah.
I'm a rugby player.
Yeah.
I'm a businessman, etc., etc. But as
I'd like to add, I see myself as a creative person.
Okay.
And obviously sport is a big part of who I am. And I guess it's just the lure of high performance is also those chasing those standards and excellence, and almost a sense of superpowers that sport embody. Every young kid wants to be some kind of a superhero. So that's something that I would also say is part of my identity and what I enjoy. So
amazing. I'm actually just making a few notes, because you're touching on so many things that I actually want to ask you about. But before we get to all those pointers, give us a bit of a background, Ben Jason. I think many people know you from seeing you on TV or watching you play rugby for the Stormers and for the Springboks. But where did you grow up? Tell us about your family, schooling, etc.
Yeah, I come from Somerset West, so I've always stayed in the same location, albeit we moved houses on the same property. To where my grandparents used to stay after they passed away. I come from Somerset West. My dad is actually born in Namibia. I think he grew up in Namibia. But my parents lived in Gauteng for a long time. So if my speech betrays me, I promise I am a KP. So I'm from there. I went to Somerset West Primary. Enjoyed all kinds of different activities at school. Excelled in academics and like cultural activities and just tried to do everything. I was actually a swimmer. For one of my orals in primary school, I was like, okay, I'm going to be like Neetling one day, this and that. So that was one of the first things that I kind of aspired to, but swimming is not as fun as rugby. So yeah, I went to school and then I decided to go to Paul Roos. As I finished primary school, made a decision because I think, there were other options, good schools in Somerset West as well, but it's kind of like you want to test yourself in the big pond. So I look forward to going to Paul Roos, and it was a really good decision. I went to the race there as well, to the courses, kind of like to find my feet a little bit, like I said in the introduction. And just to see who am I like, and who am I when I'm not with my parents, because I'm a bit of a mama's boy, I would say. My mom is like amazing, my dad as well, but she did a lot for me in primary school, still does a lot for me, but I just like looked forward to being my own person, having my own room and managing my time and all those kinds of exciting things. So I enjoyed my time at Paul Roos, and then after that I went to university, studied, or I first didn't study my first year, just played rugby for the Western Province under-19 team, which was called the Western Province Institute back then, in Stellenbosch. And then I went on to study and play rugby for Maltese and the junior Western Province teams. So yeah, I'd also add I have one sister. She's 7 years older than I. And she's Down syndrome, and she's like half my height. They didn't get very tall, so super sweet. So really, really, really awesome sister I have. She still stays at home, and my mom still works a little bit as a nurse part time. My dad's retired, but it's nice. I'm still living with them now in Somerset West, so it's good to be around them and see them a lot. And yeah. That's a bit of a background.
Ben, Jason, you a Springbok rugby player. Why do you still live at home with your family?
I just moved back last year. So I was staying in Res for quite a while in Stellenbosch, in Eendracht. And then I had some other options that were nice. Options helped me to save a little bit. So I stayed in Paul Roos as well, and of course I was there as a stooge for 2 years. And I just felt that it's a good time to just move back with my parents for a while because, my dad had retired recently and there were a lot of things to kind of manage on the property. And I just felt like it's good to be back home and pull those relationships a little bit before I'm out for good, because I'm still single, so I can still do that. Hopefully soon enough I'll have, be completely independent and well, I'm independent, but I'll be away and have my own property and, build a family somewhere else or maybe close by. But while I still can, I just wanted to be at home for a bit more.
That's special, man. Yeah. Guys, ladies, if you are listening, that was an advertisement. When Jason Dixon is still single. Venas, you touched on stooging at Paul Roos.
Yes.
I've heard many stories where you would play a match for the Stormers in the evening and during the day you'd be at Paul Roos busy coaching, and then after the Stormers game you'll be back at Paul Roos, back in hostel. Tell us more about that time, and why did you decide to stay in hostel at Paul Roos where once again you could stay somewhere else?
Yeah. So like I said, that was mostly a financial decision, I think, because the opportunity was there. A friend of mine just helped me to kind of like apply there, and I still knew the house father was our coach at high school. So Mr. Stefan Jordan, what a legend. had a bit of favor there, obviously, and being at Paulus and having been head boy there as well. So it was nice to be back. I kind of felt that it was a good decision for the influence that I had as well. But mainly it was because you don't have to pay rent, and it's a very nice flat that you can stay in there, and you can eat the courses course with the school kids 5 days a week for free. So that was a special deal. And us men in our 20s don't like to cook. Not often. We don't like to cook too much on our own. Maybe it's more the dishes that we don't like to do. But it was a good deal for that time. And I really enjoyed it. I think it was also like I was meant to be there because it was such a nice experience getting to know the boys and having a bit of influence, and also the coaching thing kind of came with it. And I wouldn't trade that for a lot of money. So that was a really, really nice time.
So clearly it seems like you didn't only make the decision to live there because of finances.
Yeah, well, it was a big part of it.
That's a big part of it.
Initially, at least.
But clearly
It made sense, you know.
100%.
Like, I haven't been paying rent because I was in Eendracht. So it is not, I'm not sure I want to go live somewhere and pay like 10K a month.
Exactly.
Or whatever, yeah.
But it sounds like you invested a lot of time in the boys you coached and the guys in hostel. Was that part of your heart to move into hostel to spend time with them?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. So when I was in that same hostel, which is Nova, there's two at Paulus, there's Prima courses and Nova courses, and I was in Nova. I stayed in Nova when I came back now as well. But when I was there, we had like there came some of the leaders from a local church came, and they started a small group there with our. They invited everybody, and they came to the Edsel, invited everybody, and then only some guys from my grade went. So I joined like the second or third week, and it was such a like awesome time, you know. The next 2 or 3 years with these people, just like they took us on a outreach as well, on a Christian outreach the next year, and it was just some of the best times and experiences, and like growing also in my faith at school. And it just opened a world to me that I hadn't necessarily experienced, or maybe definitely wouldn't have on my own. So to me, it was invaluable, like having that influence in my life as a young man in Corsair. So I was so keen to have a bit of the same influence to some of the younger guys when I went back there. So definitely it was part of it. And then the coaching, like I said, maybe I was a bit hesitant at the start, but I enjoyed it so much. Like, you know, also having the expertise, you know, having been a rugby player for so long. So you're confident in that area, and then to work with kids and just like teach them something that you know what you're teaching. That's really, I enjoyed it a lot.
Let's just touch on your rugby career. So you are a Springbok, and it almost feels like your rise to becoming a Springbok was sudden in many people's eyes. When did you start believing that you could become a Springbok?
Yes, you probably like quite early. If you'd ask me like, I don't know where it wasn't necessarily like a dream like maybe it is for a lot of other young boys, in the sense that, like, you know, they put the posters up around their room, or like, I want to be it so badly. But the self-belief was there from a very young age in terms of, you know, rugby. So maybe even like from primary school, if you'd ask me, but I guess there's a lot of kids that have that, you know, that have that confidence. But I just felt like I've always backed myself with my rugby ability from like quite young. So I don't know, can't tell you. Maybe I would have answered differently back then when you asked me, but I feel like it's always been there since I played. But more recently, I think like when I was at Maltese and in some of the junior teams, I was starting to think like, okay, or maybe when I'm like 25, I want to be a Springbok. Or so it came a bit later than that, but I kind of had that goal and belief.
And joining the Springboks, I think this is an interesting topic that I'm very curious about. You have this picture in your mind of what it's going to be like joining the squad for the first time. How was it? And then secondly, what was your picture and how do they compare?
So I'll say one thing is like the picture that I had was that it's a very intense high performance environment where it's like more stress and fear than I thought I would than I actually did experience. I thought I'd experience much more like, you know, they squeeze everything out of you kind of a thing, and it wasn't like that. It was more like a natural unit and a I don't know. There was more space to be yourself than I thought. You know, obviously it still is high performance, and obviously you still do give it your best in training sessions and in games, but the relationships and the environment just makes it a lot easier to kind of like just chill as well when you're not on the field. That's something that there was a difference between what I expected. Something that I experienced when I started was just the training sessions was so much fun, like especially the forward sessions. Just feeling like you do fit in, like, okay, shucks, the things that we did at the Stormers that I learned throughout my junior years and as a senior player, like you kind of get affirmed that, okay, you can do these things, you have the ability, you fit in. That was a nice feeling. And also the friendliness of the players stood out. It's one of the things that I remember from joining the group. So yeah, that's some of the things.
I've got a few questions on this because I'm very curious. Is the step up from the Stormers to the Springboks very big?
I think in some senses yes, and in other senses no. Like the physical, what you go through physically, it is a bit more intense maybe at the Springboks, but I would say it's the physical part is more comparable. Like you do train really hard at the Stormers and at the Springboks, and you do a lot of the same things physically. Where it's a lot sharper is where like there's so many more players that are on the same page, because like everybody's there is high performance. So like if you have an off day, maybe you're one of the good players at your union, like people won't necessarily notice or it won't show so much if you have an off day. If you have an off day at the Springboks, like it'll show up so quickly. So like dude, you know, the level is just a bit higher, and as far as like everybody taking responsibility for their own mental sharpness and doing what they need to do, and so you on your toes. But I think, yeah, so that's definitely a big difference. But a lot of the other things, like the physical things, it's not like the conditioning is not scary. It's so much different, like military vibes. But it is obviously like there's a high level, and you need to focus to not perform badly, but also not hold the group back. Everybody is like, yo, we need to bring your best.
And tell me about the first time you heard you in the Springbok squad. Where were you? How did you feel? And then also the first day joining the squad, meeting the guys. How was that?
So, I just think like it felt a little bit unreal. I'm just thinking about the first training camp. We were in Pretoria, and it was kind of a scary thing for me. Like, oh, we're actually gonna put on our boots. We're actually gonna, put on line-out strapping. We're gonna go onto the field. We're gonna go train together. So on the flight to join the team, because I was a bit late. I think we had a match. Yeah, we played a quarterfinal against Glasgow, and we were told, okay, we're gonna some of us are gonna go join the team now. So we were looking at the training sessions that they've already done on the app where we, review the video footage and whatever. I'm like, yo, okay, trying to stay on top of it. Where we're gonna join the session now, and it was really scary. But then, like I said, when we got onto the field and we actually went through the paces a bit, it was like you settle, and you feel a bit more confident, and you feel a bit more a part of it. So that was a nice experience. That was the first training camp. I think the first moment I realized I'm a little bit in the mix was with the alignment camp notice. I didn't get like email or anything. It was just like the defense coach called me out of the blue. Oh no, sorry, I'm wrong. Somebody added me to the Loose Forwards 2024, Springbok Loose Forwards 2024 group. That's the first thing that I saw.
No way. Who added you? Can you remember?
No, I don't know who added me. And then the defense coach Jerry Flannery was on the group. I just like saw his profile pic. I don't know if his name showed. If you haven't added a contact, then it's just a number. Yeah. And then that number called me with the profile pic. So when they called me, I knew to answer. Unfortunately, while I was driving, and then at least I knew this is somebody from the box. So that was the first kind of like interaction, and I had a meeting with him online. And then the alignment camp was nice, also a bit scary, when you go in there, you get your card for the hotel room, and then all the coaches are there on your right, busy working. So I'm like, okay, am I going to go in and shake everybody's hand, or I'm just going to go up to my room?
And what did you do?
And I went to go shake everybody's hand, but it was a bit scary, yeah. So, yeah.
And do you go and introduce yourself and say, I'm Ben Jason, or how do you go and greet them?
I can't remember. Maybe like some of them, I'm like, hi, I'm Ben Jason, and then hopefully they hear the first. Like they know you, obviously, if they invited you to the camp. So hopefully I didn't say my name as well.
And is that like the first time that you'd meet someone like Rassie?
Yeah, that was the first time. He'd been in my dreams, but...
What was he doing in your dreams?
Actually, like, probably he was coaching me in my dreams. I can't remember. Like, it was. I just remember having a dream where I'm kind of in a team, and I'm told this, and then I can't remember what happened. Just like I see.
That's next level visualization.
Yes, and yeah, even while sleeping. Eh?
The last thing about the Springboks that I'm curious about, from the outside, the Springboks are portrayed as this team that have ultimate unity. There's one goal, we stick together, we do everything together. But are there cliques within the Springbok team?
I think there are cliques everywhere. In every team, you'll have your couple mates that you chill together, because that's just natural, People aren't gonna like put themselves out there every meal. You go sit by somebody new. Although there is that as well in the team where some of the senior guys really make an effort to reach out, but there are definitely like groups of players and friends that are closer to each other, and then obviously to be expected, the guys who went through 2 World Cup experiences and I know much more with all the years of test rugby that they played together. Those guys are close, they trust each other. It's not going to be the same kind of a connection between a new guy and somebody who has 100 caps, so and his peers. So there definitely are some cliques, but there are so many quality gentlemen there that you can you find your friends that you can chill with, and guys that kind of like reach out to you as well, and that you can have a conversation with, or just sit on the bus next to you.
Who were those guys for you?
I made a good friend, Mornay van der Berg, plays for the Lions, so we didn't know each other before, and some of the time we were roommates together, and then Pepsi from the Sharks, so some of the new young guys as well, and Ruan Norkea. We are good friends from our SA under 20 junior box experience together. So those are some of the guys that I chill together quite a bit. There's a couple more, but
okay,
those are the gentlemen that come to mind.
Amazing. Do you have like an ultimate rugby memory, like the ultimate experience that you've experienced up to now? I think there are many more to come for you, and this might change, but up to now, what's been the ultimate experience?
I think
Playing Paul Boys High.
we never beat Paul Boys.
Unlucky.
Yeah. Yeah, that's in the past. Leave what's behind us behind. There are a couple of really good memories from, or one of them that I remember is from a junior varsity cup, which is strange that I would pick a game like that, but we played. We were in the S under 20 camp, and then they actually said like, you can go play this game, which was the final against Dix, but if you get injured, you're out of the squad. You're not gonna go with to the World Cup. And a lot of us picked we're gonna go play, and one of my friends, Daniel Joost, actually got injured in that game. I'll tell the funny part about that story a bit later, but so we went to go play this game and we beat Dix, and Ruan Orke was actually playing in the Dix team, and I don't know, some of the other guys as well, but it was a game held at UWC's athletic stadium / rugby field, and it was so back and forth, and our team, it was by no means a great rugby team, but we just fought like we'd go ahead with some more tries, and then our backs would just let the flippin' Dix backs run through. I don't know what happened, but they were just amazing apparently. But then we'd concede a couple of tries, we'd go behind again, we'd get in front again. It was just, I remember it as a game where we just like kept fighting throughout the game, and we actually got the win. So there are some of those games where you just feel like your heart and soul was in it, and there wasn't a moment where your mind like took a bit of a stumble and you got a bit negative, or you got a bit out of the game. And obviously it was a hard work throughout, so it was a very rewarding victory. Some of the other moments is like those finals. I didn't play the first URC final that we won against the Bulls, but I played in the Munster game, which is also amazing. Like the volume of the crowd shouting in a DHL stadium if we do something well, or if you make it or whatever. So obviously we lost that game against Munster, but it was an awesome experience.
Do you actually hear that? Ben, I often wonder if
No, you hear that.
you actually hear the crowd.
You hear that. Like maybe I remember a couple times in my career, if I make a nice hit, and you hear the crowd go, ooh, like you're like, whoa, like you actually saw that. Or whatever, like a break with a line break, it's always this big cheer. So you definitely, you probably notice it more when you're on the bench. But it's a nice, okay. And then the last year, obviously with the Bok games, the Portugal game stands out to me. And then the All Blacks game was also nice, but it wasn't like my best rugby game. So I feel like I cherish that Portugal game that I played, and the game against Argentina was also really nice. I really enjoyed it, and that whole week of prep was like very intense, and I got sick and everything, and I was just like happy about my contribution, even though we didn't lose that game in the end. But yeah, those are some of the games that I remember. Oh, and the whole AC Under 20 tournament was actually also a big highlight. It's just like we trained harder than I've ever trained, probably even after that again. We were super fit. We lost in the semi-final against England, and we beat New Zealand in the bronze medal match. And but it was just a really good memory.
A word that you've been using a few times is high performance. And I know I'm stealing this from the High Performance podcast if you guys are listening, which I doubt you are. But what does high performance look like to you?
I think what I would, well, the obvious answer is like to like give your maximum intensity if you're busy with something, with the exercise or with the training session. And obviously that looks like grit and perseverance, and that's what I feel like it is, not gonna give up. You're gonna like keep giving your best, and whether you feel like you have nothing left in your body, you're like still you're gonna give whatever you have left, That's the one thing, and I've always like tried to aspire to that attitude, mindset in training and in games. You always want to like blast it, and kind of like one of our coaches, Johan van Wyk, when we were at under 19s, we would have these Saturday fitness sessions, and he'd be like, take the gloves off. So you better take the gloves off. Don't like attack the session. Don't like be afraid, because you do like, I don't know how many reps, 5 or 10 reps of this flippin' grueling fitness thing, and you'd want to save yourself a little bit. Just go hard at it, but like that you show you're working, but don't like get yourself to a place where you like want to almost like give up or pass out or whatever. So it's almost like, no, take your gloves off and get really like personal with this training session. So that's something that I think is involved with high performance. But lately I notice, and in life I think a lot of people get advantage by planning well and having good habits and having good systems and being more consistent. And that's something that I'm learning is another part of high performance that's much more important, I think, than intensity. So you can just summarize it by saying, like, I think consistency is more important than intensity. And I kind of suck at that. So that's why I'm trying to focus on getting better with some of those habits. Doing something consistently is very, very difficult, but it's easier in a sense than the intense stuff, So you can go to the gym every day and just like not train as hard. So you don't discourage yourself, and you kind of enjoy it a little bit more, and you get way more rewards by going 10 days out in 2 weeks than going for like 3-4 days, and you train yourself near death. But you don't want to actually go back because it's going to be so tough. So I'm trying to bring that into my prep as well.
Doesn't seem like you have an issue by for taking your gloves off at all, because if we see you on the field on a Saturday, it's just all out there. I read something where someone said that you've got no respect for your body and you just give it all. So excited to see what happens when you focus on the planning and all those different habits.
Yeah.
Ben, you're clearly a leader. You've been head boy of Paul Roos and captained various rugby teams, and also a leader in different aspects of your life. What do you think you possess that has led you to those different platforms?
I think one of the things is, so my mom kind of raised me to be, she told me a couple of times as a young boy, now I must be an example. And I took it to heart. So I think like it's something that I carry with me, is like, it helps me a lot of times to think, okay, am I being a good example to other people? And how can I explain what I'm thinking a little bit more? Is this the way that this should be done? Because I want to at least I want people to do the thing that they should be doing, and then sometimes you give yourself a break. You're like, you don't have to do it, but if you're gonna teach somebody, you're like, no, this is the way that you should. So to almost like with your life and with what you do, to carry that message across, kind of a thing. So you want this organization to be better. Just pick up the rubbish, or do the extra effort, but then when it's your turn, you give into laziness, or you give into whatever your ego or whatever. So you can. It's the difficult thing, but I think I try to be a good example, because you want people to do the right thing, but you don't always do it. So that's one thing. And I think another thing is, I'm quite aware of my weakness, so that makes me relatable, I think, to many people.
It's good.
I understand, like, if somebody's struggling, I understand.
Been through that.
I've been through that. Like, I'm not gonna, like, I'll help you up from there. So that helps me, and it makes me adds to my leadership, I think, is to be able to look at somebody and not despise them in the position that they are, and now that enables me to be able to show them, like, to help them from there, because I can relate to them. Let's go take the next step. Yeah.
And in these leadership positions, you've had to make a lot of big decisions in life. I think something that perhaps comes to mind for me is deciding to study an engineering degree while pursuing rugby full time. Just as an example, how do you go about making those big decisions?
I've heard you ask this question on the other episode.
I'm glad you listened. That's one of the standard questions.
That's one of the standard questions, and I'm like, I don't know if I've had to make the craziest decisions, but I really, like, it's a strength and a weakness, I guess. I really, really procrastinate big decisions. Or like, I struggle to because if you think something through, you come to a settled state where, and you ask people for advice, you come to a settled state where you're like, okay, I feel comfortable with doing this, but the odds that you get there in the right time to make the decision at the right time is not very high. But I'm a feelings guy. I like to feel, this is the right thing. So unfortunately, that makes me super, super slow to answer WhatsApp messages and to make decisions about my life. So I can't give you a great advice, but I do feel like if you put in the effort, when it is, okay, there's a lot of stakes on this decision, and it's very important, and you put in the effort, which I don't always do. So I think that's where I can improve. But you put in the effort to spend time, you speak to people, you think about it, you do what you can, you write things out, pros and cons, and you do a bit of research. You get to a point where your feeling aligns as well, and you're like, okay, this really is the right thing, and you pray about it as well. I don't know if I said that, but if you put that effort into doing a bit of the background research, then I think that you do get at a place where you can say, like, okay, I'm comfortable with making this decision using all those tools. But yeah, I do. I should just make more of the small decisions more regularly. But
I think you just mentioned that at the end, but making the small decisions more regularly, like making good small decisions add up.
Yes.
You mentioned habits earlier as well.
Yeah.
Habits, I actually spoke to someone about this earlier. A habit starts off as a discipline. Something that you don't want to do,
yes.
It's good for you.
You have to force yourself.
You have to force yourself.
Yeah.
And the first few weeks would be, this is tough. It's discipline. Before you know it, 3 weeks later, it's part of who you are. It's a habit. So I like that you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Making the small decisions, because they are often the big decisions, or add up to the big decisions.
Exactly. Yeah. I think attention to detail with small things, but also it's difficult. Like, maybe, I don't know if you have that question as well about the habits, but like I enjoy speaking about something like that, because I think that's like 101 in adulting. It's like, if you're gonna build your life, you're gonna have a good life, you can't just think about the big things, and you'll never get to the big things if you don't have like good habits to help you get there, because you can, what you do every day is what actually is gonna influence your life in a big way. So
yeah, that's what you do is who you are at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about that, because you have mentioned the word habit once or twice in this conversation. So what are a few habits that you have that you cannot do without?
So one thing that I like to, and this is a very popular one, obviously, like Make Your Bed, that book. And I don't know whether the guy is some ex-marine leader or something from America. I've seen the video where he speaks about the impact it has to make your bed, and I think he wrote a book about it as well. But you kind of make your bed throughout your life, or maybe if your parents tell you. I don't really have the habit like as something that I resolved myself to do until like I was in Res in Eendrag, and like my life was so busy with a lot of things, and everything was kind of falling apart. So just to get some order and structure, I decided, okay, I'm gonna be a person that makes my bed, and then that habit started to form, and I was like, it just gives you confidence, you know. That's one of the things, because then it kind of fell back a little bit, where some mornings I would do it and some I won't. And then I had this thought where, because I tell some people, no, I make my bed every morning, but it was a lie. I didn't make it every morning. I'd make it like 6 mornings out of 10. And then I decided, no, it's so close. Let's just like nail this one down. So I became a person that actually makes his bed every morning. So now it's more or less on automatic. And I don't have a lot of things in my life that gets to that point, but I have a lot of like intentions to get habits to that point. So I'm very, very much a beginner / amateur in this, but I just see the value so much in habits. The other thing is the evening routine. And the other one is planning my week on a Sunday. So I'm not there yet, but I'm trying to get repetitions in. And like the evening routine is like, okay, answer 3 WhatsApps, like deal with your reminders list, put something on your calendar, eat like a late night snack, drink a protein shake and your creatine or whatever, and a cool thing that I started recently was like, okay, I'm gonna think like what went well today, what can I improve, and what am I thankful for. And something very, very, so this is getting traction, and I'm hoping it's gonna have a good impact on my life. But like this, and then I ask myself like, okay, what is one lie that I can think about that I might have believed today, and what is like the truth that I can rather believe or counter it with. So that's also like at maybe like a 3-4 out of 10 level at the moment. I'm trying to get it like a every night kind of a thing, because yeah, I'm not one of the people who is super organized naturally, and my life kind of just every now and then everything gets so out of control that it's not like it's disorientating. So, and I try to really get it back. So those are some of the habits that I'm trying to get stable, and then they will have that domino effect on the other areas.
So you mentioned something that you've implemented now.
Yeah.
Writing down one lie and then a truth over that lie that you would then counter that with. Give us an example of what that could be in your life.
Yeah.
Maybe something that you've thought about in this past week.
Yeah.
And what effect does it have on you as a person?
Yeah. I think, you'll see the effect in the long term, I think, to notice that and to do that on a daily level. But one of the things that I've noticed, or one of the lies that I believe is so there's a verse in the Bible that says, "There's therefore now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus." And then the one that had this experience where I just kind of like had been sad for a couple of days, and it comes out of a place of like feeling that I need to do something, but not really feeling willing to do it in my heart. Like I think like, oh, God expects this of me, but I don't want to do it. So then there was like this subtle condemnation that came in, where it's just like, oh, you're wrong, but you can't do anything about it, and it's heavy, and that's kind of the lie that I believe. That's like, God, you have to do this thing for God to be free and to be accepted and to be loved. And the truth is like, therefore no condemnation for those in Christ. It's like, you're free. There is no condemnation. God doesn't put a burden or weight on you. Like, He makes you free, and out of that place He says like, go live for me. So that was something that I noticed. It happens often, but it's all kinds of other things. I can't think of many other examples now. So often in the evening when I was, like I said, it's probably more like a 2 out of 10 actually than a 3 out of 10 for the consistency of that habit. But I do have to think like because it's not so obvious always. Like,
Yeah.
what beliefs are influencing my feelings and my actions.
You mentioned it happens often, and I think that's something that we can take note of, is there are going to be regular cycles in our lives where we believe lies like that. So it doesn't have to be a new lie every day or a new lie every week.
Oh, I have another good example. Sorry, man, that I just came off. There's another. So most of these are like examples from the Bible because that's my standard of the truth. But it says there's a verse that says, "For God hasn't given you a spirit of fear, but a spirit of love and power and a sound mind." So I would just like walk around thinking like, "Oh, I'm too scared to do that. I'm too scared to do that." And then I noticed, because out of a previous experience, I realized, oh, this is a lie that I'm believing. I'm not afraid. This is not who I am. If you don't have a spirit of fear, how can you be afraid? So it's almost just like noticing, oh shucks, like, oh, that's not even who I am. So I'm carrying this thing that's like holding me back, but that's not who I am. So that was a very helpful one as well. Couple days or weeks ago.
Amazing. And those fears are often going to creep in. It's not as if we identify that lie once and then speak truth over that lie and then it's gone forever. We often need to bring truth to remembrance.
Yes.
That's why these daily routines are so important.
Yeah.
Remind yourself of these promises.
Yes.
Because we are broken, fallible human beings, as you've mentioned. And you mentioned that's one of the reasons why you think people do see you as a leader, because you can relate to them. You realize that you're not better than anyone. You realize that we're all broken. So
100%.
Those routines are so crucial.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see that that you're doing it 2 out of 10 days.
Gonna get
That's
there.
gonna move, bro. It's gonna move. Benas, have you been through hard times?
I'd like to think so. It's not your conventional hard times. So I can't say that I know what it's like, to lose a parent or to struggle with life-threatening sickness or something like that, or I had I don't know if you can call it a depression, but definitely like a really, really, really hectic struggle with like heaviness and I would say like along with it like guilt and shame and fear in a couple of my years of my early 20s, which sometimes it wants to make a bit of a return, but like, so there was more I don't know, abstract or spiritual things that went on in my mind, but it was a really, really hectic struggle that I had in that time when I was in university with some of those. I'm being very abstract. I'm not explaining myself very well now, but I went through a time of testing and was a bit of a struggle spiritually. So that's the one thing, and a bit at home as well. There was, okay, it's a grace, just like relationships, parents and family. There's always something that happens there. So there was a bit of stuff that our family also went through. That was tough, and then you see like your mistakes and your influence also in it, and you see how your selfish decisions like influence your family. So that helped me also to grow a little bit through it. But yeah, I wouldn't compare my tough times to other people's tough times, but I think there's been a lot of forming and shaping. And yeah, maybe I'll find a better way to explain it.
But let's touch, I think, Ben, you mentioned something important, and that is going through a time of mental instability, depression, anxiety,
yes,
whatever you want to call it. It's something that many of us go through.
Yes.
And it comes and goes.
Yeah.
How did you manage to move out of that space into a better mental space?
That is an amazing question. Thank you. And you're helping to validate my mumbling. Whoever was listening there, I'm sorry. But no, I would say, so out of that kind of like a bit of a dark period and struggling with those anxieties and all of those things, like because all of us get stuck in our minds, so not some people less than others, but like I feel like everybody goes through a place where their own understanding gets them in a pickle, like gets them stuck in a rut where maybe it's you get stuck in the past, or maybe that person that did something to you, you can't forgive them, or I don't know what it is, but you can't deal with it and it torments you. So it's almost like a period of torment. And what got me out of it was a couple of truths out of the Bible. Once again, like that, just like it just created a safe space for me where I can, like, in that time of struggling, I can still have a place where I can run to and find comfort. And it is specifically a scripture, Psalm 131, that speaks about, God, my thoughts are not lofty, neither are my eyes, like, I'm not proud. I don't come to you with a proud and haughty heart. I have calmed and quieted my soul within me, like a weaned child with his mother is my soul within me. Is David, I think it's a Psalm of David. And he just says, like, God, like, I'm not trying to compare my thoughts with yours. Like, I've given up trying to understand this. I trust you enough to come to you and just find comfort and rest in you. And that's something that really carried me through that time, where it's like, okay, I have this space where I can go to. And also just God, like, reaffirming his character in the Bible, because you have this problem with injustice in the world, and a lot of people struggle with, like, evil and suffering in the world. And there's this pain that you can't deal with. God says, I understand how you see it, but I am righteous. My thoughts are higher than yours, and it's higher than yours, and I'm evil. There's no darkness. There's another scripture that says, God is light and in him is no darkness at all. And those, like, affirmations of God's goodness in his character, the one thing that I really want is, God, that you do the right thing. Like, it looks so, like, how could you do this? How could the world be like that? I want you to do the right thing. He says, I am that hunger and that desire of your heart, righteousness. So the fact that, like, God, okay, though I don't understand it, I can trust him, made a space for me where in that struggle, I can still, like, go and rest, and I can find a place where I can get comfort, and, like, through that, God help me. And then another thing that's almost on the same topic was just, like, giving things, sometimes you see the little phrase on the car's back windscreen or whatever, like, let go and let God. And it's cheesy and everything, and it seems like such a cliche, but it's something that I learned in that time. Is people say the ball's in your court, but God wants your part of the court also. So I thought, like, surrender is like, okay, you got to be ready to do anything that he asks of you. But I learned that no, it's giving your side of your responsibility even in God's hands. So you trust him with the whole process before you have any evidence that you're going to be successful with it. It's not coming out of your confidence that you're going to achieve. Like, you trust God's promise that he's going to take you through. And then out of that place, you like have that calmness, you have that peace with your circumstance, that you can actually move and allow him to work in you and through you. So that's something that I learned out of that time, that I thought, I must get this right. You get stuck with the things that you feel like you should be doing, but you can't do. And then God's like, no, give that to me.
So would you literally say, by holding on to those few verses, really believing it and letting go, took you from a mental space of darkness to a place of light and feeling more light as well?
Well, yeah, definitely.
And do you think that's just something that anyone can put to practice?
I think so. But they, like, if you go and look for it, go and like search for it, it's almost like there's certain truths that's like just jumps out to you, like, and it has such a powerful impact on your like you said, your mental state and your feelings and everything. So it'll be specific to each person, but there's so many, like, truths that bring you out of that darkness and give you a place of, like, rest and comfort, where your situation isn't sorted out yet, but hey, you got a place where you can, like, enjoy peace and comfort and joy. You don't have to walk with that anxiety the whole time. You don't have to walk with that torment. God brings you out of a place where you're free from that torment. Really. You can trust him with the whole thing. He is faithful. That was my experience, that, like, just that peace. I didn't really know that before that time of testing and struggling.
Thanks for sharing, Ben. So I want to ask you a few quick fire questions.
Yes, Carl.
Try and keep it quick fire.
Okay,
so whatever comes to mind, share that thing. Tell me more about the most important relationship in your life.
Probably my mom is the first one that comes up. And I think she inspires me with the work ethic that she has. And then another relationship is my friend, the Holy Spirit. Very Christian-y, but I mean, like, it's a reality, like somebody to talk to and to give your issues to, like I explained. So those are two people that come up.
It's the best advice you've ever received.
Well, the first thing that this is quick fire, right?
Quick fire.
First thing that comes up with me is something that meneer van Niekerk said to me in, I think, like a interview in his office in grade 7. Before I went to Porus, he was like, no, just that first 5 meters after you get up from the rock, just run your fastest that first 5 meters and you'll be at the next place quicker than the other people, whatever. That's something that I remember. I don't know why I'm saying that now, but it's the first bit of advice that came up.
Do you take that advice into life as well?
Just sprint the first 5 meters.
The first 5. We don't ask questions here first.
No.
Is that going to be a bit dangerous?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not as much of a risk taker yet as I want to be.
What's your dream?
My dream. I think my dream is that a lot of people will find that identity also that we spoke about in God. So like just a lot of people will find a home and a place in the Father's house. That victory almost. Yeah. Lekker.
What do you want to be remembered for?
I want to be remembered for someone who grew, had a growth mindset, somebody that lived without fear, and somebody that was gentle and loving and funny and creative. Yeah.
If you could have dinner with any 3 people, living or dead, who would they be?
My common knowledge isn't great, so I wish I knew historic figures a bit better. But let's just think, okay? Let's just think who can it be.
Quick fire, anyone who comes to mind.
No, it's going to be wrong answers because Ronaldo is the first person that comes to mind. But I don't know. I don't want to have that. Let's think. Okay, there's a guy called Dan Moeller. He preaches on YouTube. So that's the only way I know about him. But I'd like to have dinner with him. You know, I'd really enjoy dinner with Peter, the disciple of Jesus. And, no. Okay, yeah, Peter. I was going to say John. John was also a cool dude.
Peter almost lost his invite.
Yeah, almost. Jesse, lucky fish him.
Can I ask you to add someone in the Springbok rugby team?
Okay, that's
as a
good.
third, who would that be?
I'd have Pieter-Steph come over for the ride. Of course, yeah.
Will he be Brian?
Yeah, he'll probably. I don't know. He'll probably insist on helping.
Is that someone who he is?
Yeah, definitely is.
Servant.
Great family guy.
Ben, if you've listened to any of the previous episodes,
Final question.
until the end, we end off the podcast with a question. And that question is, if you had a gigantic billboard that you could carry around with you wherever you go, hypothetically speaking, of course, what message would you have on that billboard and why?
Must be short, eh?
Must fit onto a billboard.
Must fit onto a billboard. I'd say righteousness is free.
Why?
Because I think that's God's heart for people. It's like, hey, I have this great gift, this amazing jacket that I want to give you, so just put it on, like, which was obviously Jesus' life and obedience and the death that he died, so that we can be forgiven of our sins, and you can wear this like perfect new identity, so we can really be that person without having to have deserved it. We can put it on, we can believe it, and that's been my experience. So imagine that. Imagine you can just like be a Springbok, boom. You're just this kid in grade 10 and now you can just boom, so that'll be my billboard.
Thank you, Ben Jason.
Like,
Thank you so much for giving us your time,
thank you for the invite, Rudolph.
for being honest, authentic, for being different, because I think you are in the most beautiful way. Thank you for loving people well, and thank you for sharing your heart without worrying about what people are going to think about you. I'm excited to see what you're going to be doing on the rugby field, but more importantly, off the rugby field. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man.